G'day folks, it's Tony here from Bitshares, and in this video I wanted to go over market cap versus usage. Now I found this website here called Blocktivity, and as it says here, one way to consider a blockchain project is through its market cap. So if we come on over here to CoinMarketCap, this is a popular website that a lot of people use to kind of get the current price. But it lists the coins by market cap. And of course, here we can see Bitcoin has 243 billion market cap. Now, there's only 21 million Bitcoins. And so obviously this is why the price is quite high. The price is being manipulated, I believe. But you can see Ethereum has a market cap of 44 billion and Bitcoin Cash 23 billion and so on. Okay, so now Blocktivity says another way, right, closer to the real value is observing the activity on the blockchain. Lots of FUD. Now, just in case you're not quite sure what that means, let's look that up. So FUD is the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So basically there's like professional people, or not really professional, but they're just people who like to spread FUD. They like to create fear and uncertainty and doubt. Well, they like you to feel fear. They like you to be uncertain and to have doubt about yourself and about your decisions. And of course, when people are affected by FUD, they usually tend to, sell low and buy high, right? In other words, they get nervous, they get all scared, and then they sell. And of course, the FUDster, he's doing this on purpose to try and get people to sell, at a loss, so that obviously he can make a profit. Naturally, the way the market works, in order for someone to profit, someone must lose. So of course, there's people out there that like to spread a lot of FUD, and this is why they do it. It's all going to go down, blah, blah, blah. And so, of course, people go, shit, I better sell, quick, sell. And of course, then you've got all of these other people that kind of know what's going on, and they're kind of there buying it all up as people are selling. And that's happens a lot with a lot of the cryptocurrencies. A lot of the cryptocurrencies are actually kind of what's called vaporware. It means that, someone's just thrown up a website, they've put some pretty pictures on a website, they've got a, 1 or 2 or 3 page, white paper. And, it used to be that you could just do this and all of a sudden $500,000 would just appear kind of like out of nowhere. And so, there's literally thousands of cryptocurrencies, and CoinMarketCap show the top 100. I mean, there's coins here that just no one would ever in their right mind actually use. And yet somehow, people are buying into them, but they buy into them to pump it up. And of course, people think, wow, something's happening. So they come, and then of course it gets dumped. And that's how it kind of works. I'm not an expert in it. I'm still learning myself, trying to understand it. But the purpose of this video is to talk about what's more important, the market cap of a cryptocurrency, or whether it's actually being used. Now, of course, Bitcoin is the leader. It is the granddaddy of all cryptocurrencies. And it kind of, when you look up the word cryptocurrency, often it's associated with the word Bitcoin. So I take my hat off to Bitcoin. It's kind of like the Model T Ford. It's kind of like the first car sort of thing. But I don't think the Model T Ford was the first car, but anyway, you kind of get the idea. Like, it's got the highest market cap, but it's as slow as anything. In fact, Bitcoin can only process usually around about 7 transactions a second. Okay, so if we come over to here's a website that's actually completely dedicated to monitoring the unconfirmed Bitcoin transactions. Now, if I just refresh this, often there's a map which you can see here. Now you can see this is going up all the time. At the moment, there's 163,000 and rising unconfirmed Bitcoin transactions. And the average transaction per second is 4 seconds, right? So it's supposed to be 7, but here it's only doing 4, so that's even worse. So the whole point of Bitcoin was to have a peer-to-peer way. Peer-to-peer means that I can just go to my computer and I can send money directly to you, and we don't need a bank. We don't need somebody else or another third party to be involved to, for us to be able to do that. And when it comes to the blockchain, we can do this. And we don't need somebody there to facilitate it all, because the blockchain makes it all trustless. In other words, we don't have to have someone, we don't need trust. I can just send you the money. And of course, there's all of these miners, which is what they're called with Bitcoin, that actually verify that that transaction took place. So there's the proof, it's all there on the blockchain. So there's no way that you can receive it and then say, oh no, I didn't actually receive it, because we can prove that you did receive it. So, but when there's 164,000 unconfirmed transactions, that means a lot of people have tried to send Bitcoin somewhere and the person on the other end isn't getting it, or they're getting it 3 days later or 6 days later. In fact, Bitcoin sometimes actually takes longer than what it does to send money via a bank. And the whole point of Bitcoin was to get rid of banks. So if it takes longer than what it does to send money via a bank, I mean, what's the point? So obviously there are other blockchains that are much faster, and that's kind of what this site is about, Blocktivity. It's basically saying that, there's a lot of FUD, a lot of, fear and whatever, that gets people to place their money into the wrong area. So a lot of people think, God, I better get some Bitcoin, and there's all these Ponzi schemes being built on Bitcoin and this type of thing. But think about it logically. If it can only handle 7 transactions, or as you just saw, only 4 transactions a second, it's not going to help the world. Okay, it just can't scale. I mean, if you look at Visa and MasterCard, I think they need to be able to process around about 30 or 40,000 transactions. It's either a second or a minute. I think it's actually a minute. Facebook, if you look at likes and comments, that does about 50,000 transactions a minute. Okay, so if you thought about all the different businesses out there and banks and whatever, and they all wanted to move over to blockchain, well, if they moved on to Bitcoin, it's not going to work. Bitcoin is just not going to survive, because it can only process 7 transactions a second, you see? And that's why there's all these unconfirmed transactions. It can't keep up, and it's super expensive, you see? Because obviously as there's more and more demand, they're putting the prices up. So, it might be okay as far as a store of value, like you buy 1 Bitcoin and you just kind of forget about it. Maybe it goes up and up and up and in value. But as far as using it for business, it's not going to work. And this is kind of what this site is about. It's saying that, that it's actually, what's more important at the end of the day is actually usage, that the project needs to be able to work for people. People need to be able to use it. I mean, that was the whole point of why Satoshi Nakamoto actually created Bitcoin. It was for actually use. It was for people to use, not just for people to invest in. You see? So if we look at this website, it's all about the activity. Now, obviously I'm an evangelist of Bitshares. And here's a very good reason why I am, because it's number 1 at the moment for the most activity. Here in 24 hours is over 1 million transactions in one day. Okay, now, yes, it only has, its price is currently around 17.5 cents, right? Whereas Bitcoin is around $14,000. Okay, it has a market cap of 456 million as opposed to 240 billion. But look at this. Bitcoin was only done an activity of 391,000 transactions, but yet this says 119 unconfirmed transactions, and this one's obviously saying 164, so it's growing rapidly. So what's better? To have a whole heap of money and then people can't actually use it to send to each other, right? Well, beg your pardon, a whole heap of value, like to be worth 14,000 and no one can actually use it. So here's a strategy. Now, I'm not giving you financial advice, but here's something for you to consider. One Bitcoin is worth 14,348. Let's suppose that it goes to 100,000 in the next year. Okay, so you buy one Bitcoin right now for 14,000 and it goes up to 100,000. So you've still only got one Bitcoin, but now it's worth 100,000. Now, what if you took that same 14,000 and you bought Bitshares at 17.5 cents? Right, so let's get the calculator out. Calculator. Okay. So 14,348 divided by 0.175. Okay, so you'd end up with 81,000 Bitshares. Now, what if those Bitshares in a year actually went to, well, if they went to $1, that'd be worth 89,000. If they went to $5, that's 400,000. If they went to $10, that's 890,000. So what would be better? To have one Bitcoin that you can't really send anywhere to anybody if you wanted to sell some of it, or you might have trouble sending it. Maybe you can send it, but it might take a couple of days, and by that time the value could change because it's completely volatile. Or you have Bitshares. Now Bitshares, you can actually send any amount of money to anybody that's on the Bitshares platform, that's on the Bitshares decentralized exchange, which means it can't be closed down by a government or anything like that. You can send any amount of money in 1.5 seconds for around about a cent. So what's better? To have this thing called Bitcoin, it's got a huge market cap, it's not really doing that much volume, and that the volume that it is doing, it can't even handle the load, and it's not even doing its 7 transactions a second. What's better, that or say something like Bitshares that can actually handle, in a test that's been proven in a testnet environment, to do 3,300 transactions per second. Okay, so that means that Visa, MasterCard, the NASDAQ, and probably all of the cryptocurrencies could all be on Bitshares and it wouldn't be a problem. Okay, so this is why I think this is really important to look, is like what's better. Usage at the end of the day is what's going to create the value, not hype, not media saying, yes, Bitcoin's going to go up. You know what I mean? It's people actually using it is what's the most important thing, in my opinion. But I'll let you decide, market cap versus usage. You decide what's the best bet. And of course, in my opinion, Bitshares is the most undervalued cryptocurrency out there right now. As you can see, it's, being utilized, and it's as cheap as chips. So if you actually missed out on Bitcoin because you hesitated, then you could consider Bitshares to be the new Bitcoin, the more improved Bitcoin. Kind of like if Bitcoin is the Model T Ford, then Bitshares would be the Concorde airplane or the Starship Enterprise or something like that. So if you missed out on Bitcoin, now's your opportunity to get in on something that's actually better than Bitcoin. It's faster than Bitcoin, and right now it's a damn sight cheaper than paying $14,000. You can get it for 17 cents. Anyway, hope you liked the video. Have a great day. Give it a like, give it a share, and I'll see you in the next one.